Everybody did dictionary last week. Any questions on dictionary or lambda functions that we saw last week? Everybody good with those concepts? No questions, right? Okay. Okay, so I'm also going to share my screen now. Let me see. Okay. As I said, I'm going to teach today the file processing, Lambda, not Lambda, sorry, JSON processing and XML processing. And I'm going to end the class in an hour because you all have, internals, I believe, tomorrow or this week. Okay. Okay. So what I wanted to show you was how to use files for doing anything in, so let's say, hello from Sayur, classes 1 hour today. So let's say I want to write these messages into a file. Okay, so how do I manipulate files in Python? Can you all see my screen first of all? You can see it, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So the way to do file operations is there are multiple ways you can open a file. So the command is you will say open file name and then you will give the mode, what mode you want to do it. So there are multiple modes. You can say R for read mode, okay, W for write mode. So what W will do is it will clean up the file. So even if the file exists, it's going to overwrite. That's what W is. Or you can do A for append mode. So let's say you already have some lines, you can add to that file. Okay, make sense? At least these three are the main ones. There are other ones which you can also read by yourself. Okay, so if I am opening a file, like let's say I'm opening something called, let's say, example.txt. I'm going to give a new name. Okay, so I'm opening a file called example.txt. I'm not giving any path, so it's going to be in my own directory, in the same directory. And I'm opening it in write mode. And into that file, I'm saying write hello from Sayur. And I'm also writing classes 1 hour today. And I'm closing that. And I'm going to read. So I close that file and then I'm going to read that file. This is a brand new file. Okay, and then I'm going to print the file. Okay, so I can write for each line, I can print like this. I'm going to remove this. Okay, any questions so far? So I'm opening the file in write mode. I'm writing 2 lines and I'm closing the file. Then I'm opening it in read mode. And then for each of that line in this file, I'm printing the file. Okay, so let's run this. So you can see here, it says hello from Sayur, classes 1 hour today. Do you guys see that? How a file is created? And you can also see it is created in my example.txt. This is the file I created, right? So you can see in this example.txt, if I open that file, these are the 2 lines that are there. Hello from Sayur and classes 1 hour today. So do you understand how to create a file? How to open a file in write mode and read mode? Any questions?
Ma'am, if we write file equal to open up example edits, whether we need to have the file already or we create a new one, ma'am.
So this file you don't have to be. I just gave a new name, brand new name. So I can say here Lalita's example, right? This is like any name. I can give a new name. If I try to read a file that's not existing, that's when I will get an error. But if I'm opening a file in write mode, whether the file exists or not exists, it will not give me an error because I'm opening it in write mode. The file doesn't exist, it will create it. If the file exists, it will replace it. So you can see, like, for example, I just showed you, right? This example.txt file that was created has hello from Sayur and classes 1 hour today. Okay? So I can now open the same file in write mode. Now the file exists, right? Last time it didn't exist. Now I can write something brand new, right? So already there were 2 lines there, right? Hello from Sayur and classes 1 hour today. So I can now write file.write all lines are deleted. So what will happen now? Because I open the file in write mode, it is going to empty the file and write it as a brand new file now, right? So even though this example.txt right now contains hello from Sayur and classes 1 hour today, right? This is going to be now getting deleted. It will not be there anymore once I have my, once I run my program again. So this example, does it make sense? So this file that exists right now, which has these 2 lines, right? So now I'm opening the same file again in write mode, and I'm writing into this all lines are deleted. So now if I open the file, so I'm going to even not even run this. Okay, I'm going to show you the file after I write it, how it will look like. Oops. Okay. So now if I run this file now, okay, the file completed. So now if I open example.txt, what's the line there? It overrode the file. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Did it make sense? Okay, so now what if I don't want to delete? Then this is where I can write it in append mode. I can say, I'm now going to append to this. Did not delete the previous line. Right? So I'm going to write this now. I opened this now in append mode, and I'm going to run this now. Okay. So now when I check the example.txt, it's going to have all lines are deleted. I didn't put the new line character, so it wrote in the same line, did not delete the previous line. Do you see it? So depending on which mode I open, right? So now let's say I try to write into example1.txt at append mode. What do you think will happen? So a new file example1 will be created. See that? It did not complain to me any error, but it only wrote did not delete the previous line, right? So I can open a file which exists or does not exist in either write mode or in append mode. If the file exists, it will append. If the file does not exist, it's going to just create a new file. So that's what this append mode will do. If it exists, it's going to continue. If it doesn't exist, it will create. Whereas W will just overwrite every time. Did everybody understand that concept? Okay. Is there any question? Anyone? Krishna, yes.
Ma'am, you said the file will be overloaded, ma'am. But
Overwritten, yes.
override, ma'am. But
Oh.
how it is identifying this is the particular file, ma'am? For
So I'm
example, you
giving the
said
name, right? See, I'm saying
uh,
open, and when it tries to open the file that is within this directory. See, I am in this directory in my home folder, correct? I'm in a
yes, ma'am.
Mac. I'm working on a Mac. So my Unix system says this is my current directory. Correct?
Okay, ma'am.
So within this current directory, it is looking for that file. But if I give a path, then it will look for in that path. If let's say I gave a path as something else, user local bin test files or something like that, then it will look for a file in that folder. Right now, since I did not give any path, it is similar to in DOS what you have do // right? It's in the current directory, it is looking for that file.
Oh, okay, ma'am.
Right?
Uh,
Because in my left side, this is my repo, right? This is my file system.
okay, ma'am.
Correct. If it's
Yes.
there, it will use it. If it's not there, so you can even put in your if you have a C folder, and let's say in your C folder you have test files or something, you can give that whole path here.
Okay, ma'am.
Make sense?
Yeah.
any
Okay,
other
ma'am.
any other questions? So did you
Mm,
understand the read mode, write mode, and append mode?
um,
So I'm going to give you the link which you can read on your own. So basically, you can see here there are other modes. You can try these in your examples when you have some time. Okay. So let me put that link in Discord. Okay. So you can check on that. Anything else? Any other questions on just the file? Do you understand the file opening in read mode? So I can open now example 1. So I can just comment all this. Right? So I can just read now example 1, and I can just open it in read mode, and I can it says did not delete the previous line. Now let's say I put here example 2, a file that does not exist. Then what will happen if I run this? It's going to give me an error because the file doesn't exist. See here, I'm getting an error, no such file or directory. I clicked multiple times. Do you see this problem? So only if the file does not exist and you are trying to open it in read mode, it is going to say no such file exists. So you can see here it is basically looking for that file in the current directory and it cannot find it. Okay. Questions? Okay. The Deepika, yes.
மேம் இப்போ நம்ம வந்துட்டு வாட் இஃப் வி கிரியேட் சம் அதர் ஃபைல் இன் சம் அதர் ப்ரோக்ராம் அண்ட் இஃப் வி ட்ரை டு ஓப்பன் இட் ஃப்ரம் திஸ் பர்டிகுலர் ப்ரோக்ராம் மேம் வில் இட் ஷோ அன்
Do
எரர்
that.
ஆர் வி ஹேவ்
Yeah, no, there is no problem. You don't have to write it here. You can open any file. So right now, let's say I have a Python program. So let's pick something. I wrote this function lesson, right? Py. Okay. So I did not create it in the program, right? I created it using Visual Studio, correct?
எஸ் மேம்
Function, what is the name? Underscore. Let's see which directory it exists. So you know what? Let's do this with the file manager. So I have a country, you know, it's emp data.json. So you can see here, it prints that whatever was in that file. Do you see it? Deepika?
மேம்
Can you see? I just opened a file that's something else that I created, not in this program, but some using something else. I have a file in my system, file system, and I can open that in read mode and I can print it. Do you
எஸ்
see it? Yeah,
எஸ்
it doesn't have to be, it can be any file. It doesn't have to be a specific file that we created. Any file you can open in read mode and you can read it. Okay. So as I said, like I've given the links in the homework folder, like in the class B Discord. So make sure you, when you get a time, get some time, like try different things. Okay. Try what all you can do with using that, using those libraries. You can try to use your sample file from your folders. You can open the files that you have in your folders and you can try to do it. Okay. Okay. So the next one I'm going to talk to you is about JSON. Okay. So you already learned. Sorry. Is there any question? Okay. So I'm going to teach what, does everybody know what JSON object is? Have you worked with JSONs before? Do you know what a JSON looks like? Who can tell me? You learn dictionaries, correct? Who can tell me what dictionary is? Okay.
Ma'am, it contains key value pairs, ma'am. Like. name and something, age and something like that.
Right? But dictionary, so I can, is it only pairs that I can have in a dictionary? What's the main reason for a dictionary? We did you all did the cafe problem, right? What is, so there is like quantity and the number is a pair, right? Name and the name is a pair, right? Then there is price and the number is a pair. But what did you do in a dictionary? Is it only the pairs? What did you try to do with the pairs?
Ma'am, we can access the value using those key values, ma'am. Key
You
names.
put the pairs together, right? Forget about accessing. You tried to put the attributes together for an object in a dictionary, correct? So for like example, for idli, you put the quantity, you put the cost, you put the reorder quantity, all of those value pairs into one unit, right? Yes? Isn't that what you did? It's like a collection, right? A dictionary is a collection of information about a certain attribute. Isn't it something similar to you all the object-oriented concepts you are learning? Isn't it like putting together all its attributes? Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, okay. So if you think about JSON, so let me show you. Second, let's go back here. Okay, so I think we talked about file operations. I'm going to close that. I'm going to close all these files. Okay. So now what I did was I created employee data.json. Okay, so I'm going to show you what a JSON looks like. So this is the folder I created. So what did I do here? This is a JSON object. A JSON object looks like this. You have a name, right? And then you have the attributes. So like, for example, what I tried to do was, let's say we have employee details is my object. Okay. Within that, I'm having a name, a role, and a college. So maybe I can put not the teacher name, like name is Anu, right? Role is teacher, college is I came from Anna University, let's say. So same thing with name, Chitra, role is like founder for Sayur, and college is Anna University, right? So this is a JSON object. Doesn't it look similar to your dictionary that you tried to build? Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So now let's say I have this JSON. Okay. One thing is you need to know how to manipulate JSONs, right? So if you saw this, then what I can do is I can read this. I have to have the Python program and then import the JSON library. Okay. I import the JSON and you just learn how to do open files, correct? So what am I doing here? Who can answer?
I'm
Ma'am,
opening that JSON
opening
file
the
in read mode, ma'am.
Read mode, exactly, right? And I'm using the read mode to open the file. Then once I open the file, usually I can do for file and print, right? Instead, because this is a JSON, what we can do is you can do JSON.load. We just imported JSON, correct? This JSON library gives me a function called load. I can load the file as a JSON. So I'm making the data as JSON.load of this file pointer, which I just opened with the read mode. Okay. So now what I can do is for I in data emp details. So emp details is the object I showed you, right? In this, this is my emp details. So for data in emp details, print I, and then once I finish reading, I'm closing the file. I think I forgot to mention to you, you have to close the file when you're done with the file. Otherwise, read is okay, but when you try to write and if you don't close, it might have other implications. You want to make sure you close the file. Okay. So what have I introduced here? To use JSON library, open a JSON file, use the JSON load function, and then parse through the data in the for loop. Okay. So now if you run this code, let me clear the screen first, one second. Okay, so now if I run this code, you saw that my employee data has name as Anu, role as teacher, Anna University, Chitra, founder, Anna University, right? So here, see what will print. You see it? So it says teacher name is Anu, role is teacher, college is Anna University, Chitra, founder, Anna University, right? Oh, I didn't save the changes, so it didn't take the name. So let me run it again. Yeah, now it changed to name. Remember, I removed the teacher underscore from the JSON object, so I had to save the file. So now when I save the file, I can see that I can loop through the object and I can print it, print the JSON processing. Okay. Any questions on that? So if I already have a JSON, sorry.
மேம் அதாவது ஜேசான்ல வந்து ஆல்ரெடி டிக்ஷனரியாவே நம்ம வந்து ஃபைல்ஸ் வச்சுட்டு அதை வந்து நீங்க வந்து பைத்தான்ல லோட் பண்றீங்களா மேம்? அதுக்கு நம்ம டைரக்டா நம்ம பைத்தான்லயே நம்ம டிக்ஷனரி யூஸ் பண்ணலாம் மேம். அது இதுக்கு
Yeah, you can also use it. But if you have a JSON file, somebody gave you a JSON file and you want to read it and you want to load it, you can do it like this. I'm showing you how to do it. Right?
Okay,
Because JSON is a common format lot of people use in the நீங்க வந்து கூகுள் பண்ணி லைப்ரரி டேட்டாலாம் எடுத்தீங்கன்னா நிறைய டேட்டா JSON formatல இருக்கும். Why is JSON format important? Because it can give all the attributes and it shows you the relationship between the data, correct? It's saying my name is Anu, my role is teacher, my college is Anna University, right? So it has the power, JSON has the power to give that information in a file. If you just read the name and all that, you won't know what is what, right? So it helps you with identifying the attributes of that particular object.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. So now what if you had data, but you don't want to load the data into like, you know, into table in a load pannona. So let's say somebody gives you a text file. Okay. So by the text file, what I mean is, let me show you. Let's say I have student data text like this. I just picked two people, Lalita and Krishna's name. So I have the name of the student, I have the gender, and I have their degree, let's say. Okay. So I have Lalita as female and MCA. So somebody gave this like thousands of rows, let's say. Okay. So now here, I know the first is name, the second is gender, and the third is degree, right? So if I make it a JSON file, then that I can use it in any program, right? So that there is like identification of what this is and it is stored is kind of in a dictionary. Similarly, if your cafe problem, think of it as idli, quantity, price, or something like that. Okay. So now how can I change this text file into JSON and store it? So I'll show you how to do that. Okay. So what we can do here is, so now this is a Python program to convert to text. Again, the same thing, import JSON. Okay. Now the file to be converted is student data text. I just showed you, it says 2 lines. We can add one more line, let's say, Anu, female, let's say MCA. Oops. Okay, I'm just adding one more line just so that you can see the difference. Okay, so I have these 3 lines in student data.txt. So I'm going to save this. Okay, so now I'm going to open this file. File name is student data.txt, import JSON, and I'm having my dictionary as blank right now. Okay, now I'm saying the fields that I'm going to read from that file are name, gender, and specialization, or I can call it degree. Okay, so now what I'm doing is I'm opening that file name, and then what I'm going to do is for each line, I'm stripping that. You know, you all know how to strip and split. Strip is what it is taking away all the white leading spaces and trailing spaces. And then it is splitting the fields into multiple fields, right? And I'm saying there are 3 fields, only 3 fields, up to 3 fields. Okay. So then I'm stripping each of that, and then we are also making an object called student1, student2, student3, and so on. So for automatic creation ID for each employee, you can say S number equal to student plus L is initialized to 1 here. So it starts with 1. Okay. So then we are using this dictionary, the fields that were found in the file, load that into the dictionary, each of those fields. And then we are saying the student1 is whatever you got it from the file. Then student2 will be the second line. Student3 will be the third line. Then this file, while what we are doing is for each of this file, we are writing that into student.data.json in write mode. You are opening, and then remember we saw json.load. json.dump will write the files. Whatever you have loaded in the dictionary, it will dump it into the dictionary. Okay, so you can put in 3, and then I'm closing the file. So I'm basically taking the text file in read mode. I am assuming that the 3 fields are name, gender, and degree. I open that, and for each of these, every object, new object, I'm creating an ID, student 1, student 2. So L will be incrementing by 1, so that then the next time it will become 2, and so on. See that? Okay, so now let me run this. And you can see here, Krishna, male BSc, Lalita, female MCA, Anu, female MCA. 3 objects were created. And if you see the student data.json, you can see that the data it took and it gave ID student 1, student 2, student 3, name, gender, degree. So now what happened, instead of having a file like this, we put it into a structured dictionary format. Questions?
Can you please debug the code, ma'am?
Deepika, yes.
Can you please explain that conversion part again, ma'am?
Sure. Okay, I will show that. Okay, hold on. Let's go back. Okay. So what is happening here is, let's go back here. Okay. So this is the first is we are getting the student data.text, right? And here I'm initializing the variable as the 3 fields as name, gender, and degree. Yes? Do you guys understood this part? List, right? It's a list with 3 fields. Okay. Then we are this file we are opening. Okay. So when you do the open file, if you don't give the read, it is the default is read. So that is why the read is skipped. So when you say open, it is opening the file in read mode. That's what it does. And what file is it reading? It's reading the student data.text. Yes, which has this data. Following so far up to these 3 lines?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so we open the function, this file in read mode, and you have defined a variable called dictionary1 and made it blank. It's initialized to blank, and you are calling a fields. You made a list which says name, gender, and degree, because those are the 3 pieces of elements we have: name, gender, and the degree. Okay. Okay, so now let's go back. So now this is for creating the ID. Remember I showed you the first one said student 1, student 2, student 3. See, I can initialize it to, let's say, if you want to understand, we can initialize to 10. So then the first one will be student 10, then the next one would be student 11, and so on. So you're basically giving a unique identity ID for each of these people, because you just saw that this doesn't have any IDs, right? There's no ID. Anytime when you want to refer to an object, how would you refer to it, right? So that is why anytime when you do have a dictionary, you will call out something out, right? It can be name, also can be the object, right? If you don't want to do student 1, let's say you want to make this Krishna, name the Krishna as an object, we can do that also. You can do like this if you want, right? It's just manipulation of how you want to define. So right now in this code, it is, we will first do this and then we will try to change it into that. Okay, so I'm going to leave it as student 1. So this is the file we are creating, right? So I'm going to kind of going and deleting it. Let's say I delete this. I don't have any file like this, JSON. Okay, so I'm saving it. Okay, so in the student data.text, so I gave line number as 10. So now for each line in that file that you are reading, right? This file, first it does list of line strip split none comma 3, and then print description. You guys saw that in the terminal what happened. The first time it is printing this. What is this? It did the strip first. Strip meaning take away the white spaces. Then it did the split. What does split do? Split takes this one line, Krishna space, male space, this line, right? and it splits it into 3 separate words. Yes. So what happened? Krishna, male, BSc is what is the output of this description. Any questions on this?
Ma'am, that
Ma'am,
null.
strip.
Sorry, say that again. Stripped takes away the white space characters. Split does the splitting. See, you all know how to do a split, right? So if you do this, what will happen? It splits, correct? The none, what is the split definition? You can say split using semicolon, right? Or you can say split using tabs. What is your split character? How are you splitting it? If you give none, that means you are not specifying anything. Default will be space.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. So that is what that none is doing there for you. Then the
Okay.
three, what the 3 number is, I'll show you the 3 number one second. Okay. This 3 number, so if you see again the split command, this is the default, right? Then this is how many are you expecting it to split. You don't have to give it if you don't want to. See, you guys see that there? You can say separation and max split. Do you see the pop-up window on my screen or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
You
ma'am.
can see it, right? So what is the max split? Max split is basically you're telling that there are only 3 words to be split. In my code, I showed you, right? I have the name, the gender, and the specialization. So I'm saying it's only the max I will have is only 3. You don't have to set it. You can just default it to none. I took the code because, and I'm just explaining you, these are the different things you can do. It's a maximum number of splits you can have. If you put -1, that means there is no limit. If I put 3, it's expecting that there will be three words at least in that first line. So split is splitting. I'm not giving any separator. It's set to none. So any white space character is going to be used as a separation, right? So I have a spaces, right? Krishna space male space BSc. So every space is going to be treated as a delimiter. So it's going to split it into 3 words: Krishna, male, and BSc. Is it making sense?
Yes, ma'am.
Any questions on
Yes,
this
ma'am.
first line? Yes? Okay. So that is why
Ma'am,
when I print description, for the first time in this for loop, it is printing this. So it is
excuse me,
reading
ma'am.
that line. Yes.
Ma'am, one small doubt, ma'am. Ma'am, this you said that that strip will remove white spaces, right? No, ma'am.
Leading and
Then,
trailing. Leading and trailing. Not all the white spaces. It's so see
okay,
this, if
ma'am.
you see my, so try in your editor strip and see what the strip function does. Strip function removes anything that is leading and trailing. If there are any white space characters, it will remove them. It will remove the in between the characters.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, so that is what that first description is doing. It is taking the line by line. I'm doing a for loop for each line. It is stripping, taking the removing the front and the leading and the trailing white spaces. Then it is splitting. And when I say no split character, that means any white space character, it considers it as a split. And I'm saying there are maximum of 3 words. Okay, so the first will be print description will be Krishna, male, and BSc. It's a list, correct? Because I'm making it as a list. Okay, so then I'm setting a creation. I automate ID for here. Since I copied the employee code, it says employee, but student. Okay, so I'm saying here I can give any prefix. So if you want, I can say ID here. It doesn't matter, right? I can say I want to call it ID. And then followed by the number that I have here. L is I'm initializing it to, let's say, 100. Okay, so the first one is going to be ID hyphen 100. Okay, so my first number is going to be ID 100. So for Krishna male BSc, S number will be ID 100, right? So now what is happening? Now they're setting the intermediate dictionary. Dictionary 1 was blank, you saw here. It was set to blank first, dictionary 1. Now there is a dictionary 2 is also set to blank. So now what is happening? While I is length less than length of the fields, it is creating the dictionary 2 fields of I to description I. So what is happening here? It is looping through, there are 3 of them, right? 3 fields we saw. Name, gender, remember here fields, name, gender and degree, correct? So it is looping through those length of fields, right? 0 to 3, 0 to 2 because it's less than. Then it says dictionary 2 of 0 will be description of 0. Dictionary 2 of 1 will be description of 1. You get the idea, right? So it is going to loop 3 times, correct? Because there are 3 fields. So each field, there are 3 fields. I'm looping the 3 fields and I'm copying the name to the first field, gender to the second field, and what is that called? Degree to the third field. Yes. So I'm setting up dictionary 2 with the values that I have in description. Do you guys see here? Then I'm incrementing I equal to I plus 1 because it is going to loop, this while loop is going to loop for 3 times number of fields, right? So once this is completed, then we are saying dictionary 1 of S number. What is S number? Right now it will be ID 100. So for ID 100 dictionary is dictionary 2. So what is dictionary 2 right now? The values of name, name is Krishna, gender is male, degree is BSc is my first object that I'm adding here. Now L is added to L is equal to L plus 1. So now L will become 101. Now I will read the second line. The second line will be Lalita female MCA. Same thing will happen where my dictionary 1 of 101 will be ID 101 will be Lalita's information. Then it will loop again, third time, because there are 3 lines. So now it will be Anu female MCA. So the ID will be 102. And that 102 of dictionary will become Anu and female and MCA. So now we have looped through all the files, all the lines in the file. There are only 3 lines. You have looped through all the 3 lines. Now you will come out and you're going to write whatever you have in your dictionary into the student data.json. So you are writing, opening the student data.json in write mode, and you are doing dump of dictionary 1 into this file, and indent is 3 because there are 3 fields. And then you are closing the file. So that is when you run this program, you are going to have this data file created, and it's now is going to have, see here, ID 100, 101, and 102. Because now I changed the program to use ID hyphen as the prefix, and I'm starting my number at 100, correct? So it is making ID 100, then 101, 102. As I'm incrementing the ID, it is going to the next number. Questions? Did this help? I'm going to copy this code and put it into the chat, into Discord. You all can like try it out, try to change it, and try different things. Okay. I've added that into Discord. I don't know why it highlighted all of these things. Anyway, any more questions on this? You can try debug, you can try all that stuff, and try with different files, different fields. You can change, you can create your own fields. You can use your cafe problem, right? Use your data from the cafe problem into this and do it. Any questions now?
Ma'am, sorry, ma'am, only one more clarification.
Sure, sure. Yes, I do. Why are you apologizing? I'm here to teach you, right? Go ahead.
Ma'am, at the end, yes, ma'am, still down, ma'am. I mean, oh, sorry, line number 48, ma'am.
Oh, 48, dictionary 1.
Yes, ma'am. I don't know. I mean, I couldn't get where this dic one is, and
Okay, so
How?
dictionary 1 is nothing but you initialized it first, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
It's empty. So here what you are doing in your dictionary, okay, let me print this, then it might help you. So, okay, so see here, what will be in dictionary 2 when I'm completing? First row, let's say. My dictionary
Ma'am.
2 will have, for the first row, I have these, right? Krishna, male and BSc, correct?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so my dictionary 2 will have, let me print dictionary 2. So maybe that will help for you. Can I just do print dict 2? I think it should print, right? Let me try. Print dict 2. Okay. So see here. Oops. Okay. So let me clear the screen. Okay. So if I'm running for the first line, right? When I read the data, what has happened? I did the print description here, correct? This print description is printing Krishna male BSc. Do you get that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, what did I do in this dictionary too? I took the fields. Fields are name, gender, degree, right? And I'm assigning for each of those fields the values that I have in this strip, correct? In this description. So description of 0 is what? Right now, Krishna, right?
Krishna.
I printed description here. Description of the next one is male. Third is BSc, right? So now when I loop through this, my dictionary 2 is getting set up with description, correct? So what is the first field? First field is name, right?
Yes,
So
ma'am.
my name is set to Krishna. See here?
Yes,
Do you
ma'am.
see the second line when I print dictionary 2?
Yes, ma'am.
So in my dictionary too, I have, after I finish my first line, I have name Krishna, gender male and degree BSc, correct? So then what am I doing? I am setting dictionary 1 of S number. What is S number? Is ID 100, correct? So I'm saying dictionary 1 of S100, ID 100 is dictionary 2. So that is the reason you are seeing here, ID 100's definition is this. Make sense? So I can print also dictionary 1 here for you. Okay, so see here now, just these 3 lines. So this is, the first line is the description. The second line is the dictionary 2 for that line. Correct? Then the
Yes,
third
ma'am.
line is dictionary 1 for ID 100.
Okay, ma'am.
Make sense?
Yes, ma'am. That particular, dictionary to value has been, the whole dictionary 2 has become the value of dictionary 1's key.
Correct.
Yes, ma'am.
Correct. So now you can see that the first time when I print, the first time it printed, it only had ID 100, right? In dictionary 1. Right there. This is the first time. Correct? When I second time I printed dictionary 1, what did it have? 2 lines.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Now the third time when I printed, what did it have? 3 lines. Oops.
Yes, ma'am. It's iterating.
It's iterating, right? It's printing my entire dictionary. So I'm building my dictionary 1 for each object. And each object, I'm naming it with ID 100. So I can also do, I don't have to have this as ID 100. Remember I said I can even name this as, assuming that the name is unique, I can put Krishna here, right? Like in your cafe problem, your name was Idli, right? Or Vada or coffee. So you can have, instead of ID 100, the name of the object itself as the name of the person. Yes, agreed? So how would I change that if I have to do that? I can really put here, instead of S number, I can put the name, right? I have to get the dict. How would I get the dict 2 of field 0, right? Is that how I would refer in the dictionary? Fields. Okay, let me print here so that I will know for sure it will be printing correctly. If I want my dictionary field 0, right? Fields 0. Yeah. So I can see now, my dictionary 1 is what? Krishna, the name is Lalita, and the name is Anu. So if you see my JSON file now, you guys see the JSON file now? Instead of ID, I'm using name as the key. Do you understand now?
Yes, ma'am. One doubt.
Mm.
You
Go ahead.
said how to open a file and read, ma'am. But in 13th line, I think, ma'am.
Okay.
In Python file, ma'am. Python file.
This one?
No, ma'am. One second, ma'am. In 18th line, ma'am. In your code, 18th line, ma'am. With the open file name as fh, you said, ma'am. It is text file, ma'am.
Right.
But how it is open, ma'am? You said.
So you can also do like this. So I'll show you. So you can say fh is equal to open file name. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
You can do like this also, or you can say with. There are two ways to do this.
Ma'am. No, ma'am. I asking open file name comma or you said, no, ma'am.
Yeah. R is default. That's what I'm saying. You can also say open file name comma R.
Okay, ma'am.
Or you don't have to mention it, is what I'm trying to say. R is the default.
Okay, ma'am.
You can also say this. Yes, you can do that.
Okay.
It'll work.
That's all, ma'am.
Anything else? So again, try it. Okay. Do you understand how the dictionary is built? Because when you create a dictionary, do you all understand that you need a key? You understood that, correct? And the reason why we were creating ID is Krishna. There might be multiple people whose names are Krishna, right? So anytime you create a dictionary, you want this to be a unique value, correct? There can be many Anus, right? There can be many Lalitas. So that is why when we were trying to do here, we were trying to use a key. And that key can be anything. You don't have to. So here I use the field 0 as the name. You can use, like, let's say there is in the student data.text, you may have a student ID, let's say. Maybe you have a student ID. You can use that as the key. Make sense? You can then say create the JSON objects with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as the key in here. Instead of the name, you can put the IDs here. So how will you do that then? So there are 4 fields here. So how would you change? Let me see if who wants to give me how you will change it. Any volunteers? Krishna, no. Deepika, how would you change it? Now I added an ID, right? You saw in my text, I added an ID.
Yes,
correct?
ma'am.
So
Yes,
if I
ma'am.
have to process that, how would I do it? What would I change in the fields?
Ma'am, in the fields we must append ID, ma'am. I mean,
So
S
I can do
comma
ID like
ID.
this. Okay.
Yes,
Then
ma'am.
I will change this to 4 fields, correct?
Four fields.
I
ma'am.
don't need an employee ID creation. I'm going to use my ID. So I can remove that, right? So
Okay.
then I'm going to remove all of this. I don't need this SID, right? So now here, what would I do? I won't use the ID, right? I don't want to load the ID. I want to use the ID as the key, right? So here I have to ignore the last field. So I would be doing length of fields -1, right? I only want to load name, age, gender, and the degree. And this one, I want to use it as a key. So how would I do it?
We can directly give, I mean, I don't
So
know
what
where,
will be the
ma'am, but
number of
we
that?
can directly give that key value, ma'am.
Right. So it
Like,
will be 3, right?
yes, ma'am.
Third will be there. So I can use the dictionary 1 of that ID to dictionary 2, right? And I don't need L at all. So I'm going to remove all these print statements. I can use this print if you want. Dictionary 2. So we can see how this is writing. Do I have some mistake here? Dictionary 2. Oh, I did not load it, right? So I will only have it in description, correct? So what is description of 3? Because I'm not loading it into dict2, it will not be available, right? My description is the one that has that. So now I'm going to use my description of 3. Okay, so my description has 4 fields, but I'm only loading the first 3 fields and I'm using the 4th field as the ID. Okay, so if I run this now, why is it giving an error? Oh, did I not save this? Hold on. Save. Okay, so now if I see my, you can see my ID. Do you see what happened now? And only the 3 fields are added. Did everybody understand what I did? Who can explain? What changes did I make? Deepika, what did I change to make that happen? I used the ID that I read from this file. This file has the IDs. I use the IDs to load it as an object, right? With the other
Yes,
attributes.
ma'am.
So how
Yes,
did
ma'am.
I do it? What all changes did I make?
Ma'am, initially we changed the fields to 4, ma'am.
Okay.
Then we did not, and previously we were using ID separately in L variable. So we removed that too. Now here, ma'am, can you please scroll down, ma'am?
Sure.
Yeah, within this while loop, we were actually iterating till the end previously. Now, because we need only 3 fields and the 4th field has to be our ID separately, we are iterating till before last one. I mean,
Okay.
0th index 1 and 2. Until that, we are iterating, and we are creating dict2 for that, dictionary 2 for that fields. Then we are just copying that dictionary 2, entire dictionary 2 as the value to the first dictionary, like which, I mean, to the ID name.
Correct. Which is in the
Description.
description 3.
Description 3.
Right. Because description here will have 4 fields, right? 0, 1, 2, and 3. 0 will be the name, 1 will be the gender, 2 will be the degree, 3 will be the ID. Correct? We are only copying name, gender, and degree, and we are using the ID as the index for the dictionary 1. Any other questions, anyone? And that is how we made this JSON object. Okay. Okay. Last but so again, like try it out. Okay. Different parsing, how to parse JSON and all that stuff. I'm also going to give you the link for how to do this JSON stuff where I took the data from. I will give you this link in the Discord. So make sure you follow that link. And basically, I took the code from there and I went through for you. Okay. So then the next, last but not least, is XML. We only have 5 minutes. So I'm going to just go ahead and introduce the XML for you. And then, does anybody know what XML is? No? Okay. So XML is extended markup language. Okay. It is another formatting which is also similar to JSON. It will look like JSON, but it is like a, if you are parsing, it's like a tree-like structure or a hierarchy structure. So if online, I want you to Google and find out, see sample XML files. Okay. First thing I want you to do that. So if I want to quickly show you how an XML file will look like, I'll show you. You can see my screen, correct? Yes? Okay. So this is a sample XML file. I took it from the Google internet. So you can see it says it's an XML file and it has data within this. What data does it contain? It contains country data. Within the country data, there is a name, there is a rank, year, some GDP, PC, neighbors on the west, neighbors on the east. For each country, there are 3 countries that are repeated. Doesn't it look like dictionary, the JSON that you look, but it's a different, slightly different format. Does everybody understand that first? So this is a sample XML file where you can see that each field, see in the JSON, how did you see? We have a name and an attribute, right? Key value pairs. Whereas here, XML, it's all about a beginning tag and an ending tag. Like HTML, you would have seen, right? Rank, end tag is /rank. Year, end tag is /year. So that is how you know it ended. So here there is a neighbor, but within the neighbor, there is also name Bangladesh, direction equal to east. So you can also give the values like this. So you can either do like individual value, or you can also have multiple attributes within the tag. So this is an XML format. So again, XML is also something widely used formats. You should also know how to read XML using Python. Okay, that is the reason why I was introducing this. And the way to read that is, you can see here, I'll show you, this is for XML parsing. So again, there is libraries in Python for parsing XML. It's called xml.e3.elementary. Then you can use parse to do the parsing of the XML. And then you have to get root. Like basically it is a structure, right? You can get the root. And then for each of the child in that root, you can print. So for example, here, I'll show you the small file that I showed you. I'm going to quickly show you and we can look at it next week if you have any questions. So you saw the small XML file I showed you, right? So what does it contain? It contains India, Singapore, and Pakistan, 3 country names. At a highest root level, it has country. Yes, everybody can see it. So you can see here in my XML parsing, I am reading this country data.xml, that file, right? Then for each child, I'm printing the child.tag, child.attributes. So you can see that, let me clear the screen. So you can see that it prints country, name India, Singapore, Pakistan, right? So there are 3 child attributes. It printed all 3. You can also call out the exact attribute you want. Like for example, if you want to print the neighbor attributes, remember I showed you for India, on the east we have Bangladesh, west we have Pakistan. For Singapore, on the north they have Malaysia. For Pakistan, there is Afghanistan on the west and India on the east. So if let's say you want to print the neighbor information, then what you have to do is you have to print neighbor.attributes. So if you see here, you can see it is printing. Now the name Bangladesh, direction east, name Pakistan, direction west, Malaysia in the north, Afghanistan. So it only printed the attributes of the neighbor now in this for loop. You can do that. Or you can also write, if you want to know specifically, you want to know only the name and the rank. I don't want to print all the attributes. I only want to print the name and the rank, because in my country data, I have the name and I have the rank, right? Let's say I want to only print that. Then what I can do is, let me comment this out 1 second. I can also do this where name India, rank, Singapore, rank, Pakistan, rank is printed. So you can also do that. So there is ways to process the XML data. Once you use the libraries to parse the XML, you can then manipulate within that how to go through the entire tree within the XML. this whole XML hierarchy. You can parse through this data, and XML is a special format. It is very widely used everywhere. Okay, so if you are interested to know more, we can do it, but at least I wanted to kind of give you a peek into how you process XML and what XML is. At least did it give you some information about what XML is? Even if you don't understand fully, I want you to then, I'll put a link for you in here and also in Discord for you to go through. Okay. Again, you can read through these links that I have sent you, and you can then come prepared with questions next week. We can go more in detail. I know I had to rush everything because within 1 hour, Chitra told me that you all have internals and she didn't want you to all like be here if you are worried about your internals. So go ahead and do all the best for your internals. But this is something you also want to prepare by next week. Go through the links that I have provided and come back with questions. Okay. And I've given all the links of the links to the Python coding that I went through today. So if you want, you can go through those in detail, all of those, but I only covered very little of those links. But it's up to you how much you want to learn. And I'm not going to give you any homework because reading is the homework for you. Okay. That's all I have for today.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Bye.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.